7. You're with Breakfast. It's always a good idea to approach the claims made during an election campaign with a certain degree of scepticism. But there are warnings that even more vigilance than usual may be necessary between now and the 17th of October, thanks to the possibility of foreign entities trying to influence the election's outcome. Joining us to explain how and why is Professor Robert Patman, International Relations and Global Security expert at the University of Otago, who joins us now from Dunedin. Good morning.
Good morning, Jenny.
It's lovely to have you with us, as always. Okay, so what is the interest? I mean, what is there to be gained by interfering in our politics and the outcome of our election?
We often think of ourselves as being small and a long way from everywhere, but we live in an interconnected world now. In the last 3 years, New Zealand's made a series of quite important decisions which have been noticed. These include banning automatic weapons, the Christchurch call, where we led an initiative to curb online extremism, which meant, for example, that people were no longer now able to pay for political ads on Twitter, which has caused some pushback in some quarters. So there's quite a few people in the world interested in what we're doing here, and not least, New Zealand's had a high profile with its quite effective handling of COVID-19. And not everyone's been pleased by that. And so we have a worldview that's different from China, from the Trump administration, and from Russia. So there are one or two people in the world that might like to influence things in what they would see as a more positive direction in New Zealand.
Okay, so what makes our system so susceptible? What makes us so susceptible?
Well, we're a democracy, and also we're very interconnected, which means that many powers now try to influence the social media scene. And it's not just a question of states. What we do know, for example, the GCSB, Government Communications Security Bureau, have detected quite serious cyber intrusions from a number of actors, including China and Russia. So it's not just a question of states. It's also a question of political players in the New Zealand arena seeking assistance from outside, sometimes called strategic advice. And some of those players, in providing that advice, are not disinterested in the outcome. They may want obviously they want particular parties to win. This is not new, but what is new is the ability of outside actors to get within the lifeblood of a democratic system in a way which previously was not possible. Since the internet era, it's created because the world's become so interconnected, it means geographically remote actors can actually play a much more important role in shaping the debate. And let's face it, elections are often decided on the terms of the debate. So there's quite a scramble to play a role in perhaps shaping the debate. But, we shouldn't exaggerate this, Jenny May. New Zealand, I think, is a small, intimate democracy. I think many people are quite sophisticated about what they read. And the second thing is we have an electoral system, MMP, which means by definition, any party that wants to form a government, either singly or in coalition, has to have 48% plus of the popular vote, which is quite a slice.
Now, our intelligence agencies have mentioned this as a potential, but are we A, set up to recognise attempts, subtle or otherwise, and B, to deal with any such attempts?
Well, I think on the civil society side, government, obviously, the government's there to protect the long run. The GCSB and organisations like that are there to protect the long-term interests of the country, whoever's running the government, whether it be Labour-led or national-led. And they don't want a political role, so they will be keeping a low profile, and quite rightly so, during the election season. But I think what's more worrying is a point that's been indicated by a number of specialists in the international arena. It's not just New Zealand, but electoral laws, which were essentially framed 100 years ago in many cases, have not kept pace with this technology, which has just taken off in the last 3 decades. And so there are new opportunities for people to exploit that technology. And some people believe that without some reforms of the electoral systems, we have taken steps. For example, last year, the government largely banned foreign donations to political parties. I think they reduced it to $50, which isn't effectively a ban. and that's a good step. It means that outside money can't dictate the outcome of our election. But I think we probably need to go further down that route in terms of electronic protection. And so I think on the civil society, we haven't got too many groups in New Zealand yet which are dedicating to monitoring our election and making sure that there's not the sort of wrongdoing. In other societies, there is springing up a number of non-government organisations or NGOs dedicated to that cause.
Professor Patman, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show, and we thank you so much for your expertise and also your time this morning.
Thank you.